Okay, so now we're on to the liturgical and cosmetics upgrades, okay? All right. Like I said, some of this, the context really for these sorts of things is somewhat practical, but it's also, or not practical, functional, user-friendliness, but also having to do with topics 1 and 2, okay? So some of this stuff is definitely more subjective, but the context is topics 1 and 2, okay? So for Askeaton, we would look at modifying the interior lighting. And I believe the fixtures there were a gift, right? A donation, I want to say. But I think they could perhaps be modified a little bit so that they can come out of the 80s and blend okay. But also to add some lighting as well. Add some directional lighting. Okay. So anyway, interior lighting. The ceiling, I guess that really falls under the inspector's report, but anyway. Replacing that with drywall.
Why?
Which would be a major, huh?
Why?
For 2 reasons that I can think of. One was his concern about are they stable up there? Because I don't think you want a piece of plywood falling overhead. That was the one issue. And then the other issue that I'm aware of is, I think it ties in with the absence of the collar ties. And my understanding is that without the collar ties, the the walls are going out a little bit, but then the added weight on the ceiling makes that even worse. So we want to replace the ceiling so it's not as heavy. Is my understanding.
Well, if you look on the east side, if you're ever at the church, you can look down that wall that he's showing right there, and it's actually bowing out. And he said it's not that the church is going to fall in or anything, but if we got those collar joists that Father's talking about, that would prevent any further bowing of that
Right,
wall.
so does that make sense? It's a combined thing of it sounds weird, but reducing the weight on the ceiling to help the walls stay.
Can drywall be done slightly?
Well, the plywood right now, it's not secure.
Well, my understanding is that the plywood was put on over the existing plaster ceiling. So it's plaster and plywood, currently. So my guess is that if Father, what's his name, Zai, went to all the trouble to put, the plywood on there, I'm guessing that the plaster underneath was probably not in good condition. Otherwise, why would he do it? So that's just a guess. That's not fact. I'll put Jamestown right there.
Would that involve taking down the existing plywood and take down the existing
Yeah, so it would be really
plaster that's there?
right. So it'd almost be a redo of the ceiling.
We'd probably reduce the weight by 20, 30% all told.
So yeah, so basically redoing the entire ceiling. And then paint. I mean, that's just part of just regular upkeep, right? We do it in our houses. We paint. Modify the flooring. I'm sure there's nice hardwood floors under there, so bring those out again. And this, again, some of this, like I said, this is somewhat just this is cosmetic / subjective. It's not a safety issue having carpeting. Let's see, modifying the altar so that it's not a cabinet, but also so it blends architecturally with the building. The same with the ambo, and then also the chairs. Rebuilding and repairing the existing sacristy cabinetry. There's no reason to I guess I don't see any reason to replace it, just rebuild it. But that's me who likes to putz with, woodworking and things. moving the baptismal font to the middle of the nave. And that is somewhat of it's kind of a liturgical, theological thing as far as, so oftentimes in new churches, they put the font by the door as a symbol of, obviously, people's entrance into the church, right? Into the baptism is the entrance into the church. But I think we could accomplish the same thing by putting it in the middle of where all the people are gathered, where the church, the people are gathered, so that it's entry into the community. So it's again, it's more of a liturgical, theological reason for putting it there. And it would be still movable, for obviously funerals, weddings, things like that. Enlarge the south, that addition that was put on, and I don't know when it was put on. Any student? But anyway, enlarge that so that we can install the commercial lift in there, 2 unisex bathrooms, and then also stairs to access the hall from inside the church, so you don't have to go outside. Replace the organ, move that electronic piano to the loft, and then I think the pew section that was taken out is in the basement, so I think it's a matter of putting it back. Doing something with the sound system, I don't know what. Install an image of St. Clair somewhere in conjunction with the St. Patrick statue. And again, redesign the parking areas, and then adding a new exterior sign that has the current.
Father, the parking area was on the other list.
Right. That's true. So we could knock $20,000 off of this.
Well, that one was for enlarging it though, Father.
It was both.
Was it? I'll look at it. All right, so then I thought, so that's kind of the list, and then I just put some pictures on here. So that's existing floor plan. And then that would be enlarging that the south, I don't know what to call it other than the south, maybe it's the south entrance. But you can see how that got bigger down there. Everybody can see that? You can see it on this page progress. So this thing will get bigger, and then we'll put the font from here to the middle there. Oh, and then here, I was thinking perhaps we could end the steps here and bring the devotional areas down to floor level so that people don't have to go up the steps to get to light a candle or whatever. So anyway, so you'll just see those changes here. So this is the existing part here, the existing stairs. So we would just put in the lift as it had been planned at one point. And then right here is where the old confessional is right here, so we would just take that out. Add stairs to go down, so that you can go down and down like that. And then 2 just unisex bathrooms. One would be handicapped, accessible. So that would be enlarging this. And then putting the font up here, which would require adjusting this a little bit to go around it. What else? Oh, and then these things here. The idea of if we're going to have anything there, have it be at floor level so people can get to it. And these are just ideas. Okay, these are not architectural drawings or anything. Okay, these are just. Okay. Let's see. Then the sanctuary. We have the current, which is the current, and this is again just a concept. It's better on paper. Anyway. Let's see. What do we have here? So we would upgrade or whatever. We work the altar and anvil so that it kind of mirrors. This is a Romanesque style church, so kind of rework the altar and animals so that they also are Romanesque in character. This thing up here actually comes from the windows. Every window has that in it, that little kind of structure, kind of a baldacchino-esque structure. It's just meant to highlight and to draw your eye to a particular point. So obviously we want to draw it to the cross, to what's happening up here in the sanctuary.
So you would say to cover up that beautiful position?
Well, I don't know the history of it. I'm sure there's a history there.
It's just so pretty, it's a shame to take that.
Well, that's definitely a point of discussion. And I figured it would be. Like I said, this is the concept.
Would that be a physical canopy?
Yeah, it'd be a nice woodworking project for somebody. I would see it as wood. But. And again, it's the idea or the design for it, like I said, it comes from the window. That's the only. It is a design that's repeated in every window. So it just seemed to make sense to pull it from there. I don't like the way it looks here. It looks like a drawing, but whatever. It's hard. I will say it's hard to make this look quite right because this is an image that has other things done to it. So, like the darkness of the wall, it's not that dark. But the way I can't, I'm not a photographer. So the contrast, like when it would be painted, would not be quite so stark between the dark here and the light there. It wouldn't be that drastic. So that's kind of the downside of this here. Okay. All right. Moving on to Greenleaf.
Excuse me, Father, I have a question.
Yeah.
Was there handicap accessibility to that church? Because I didn't see it in any of the places or on the floor plan.
That,
I
yes.
saw the bathroom, but I didn't see the accessibility.
Yeah. It's right here. There's a lift here. And then this bathroom here is accessible. As far as cost, it's in... where is that? Yeah, it's on page 5. Page 5, and that's the South edition.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to Greenleaf. And unless anybody else has any questions. Okay. Okay. So Greenleaf. What do we have here? Soundproof confessional. Maybe redesign it, I'm not quite sure, but soundproof. Regular upkeep and repair on the organ. It's just part of having an organ. Again, we painted the interior. I asked Father Bob the last time I saw him, and he said that when he was there in his time, he had the interior repainted. So I don't know. How long has he been gone?
05 here.
Huh?
He left in 05.
05, okay, so 15 years. Yeah. So, anyway, you're painting. I'll get to the next part a little bit later, but anyway, there's a canvas, there's a painting on the wall in the sanctuary, a crucifix. Well, it's more than a crucifix, it's the crucifixion. And it looks like it's on canvas, and the canvas was applied to the wall, so I'm assuming it could be removed or moved. But anyway, the idea of taking that and relocating that. And I'll show that later. Again, installing an image of St. Clair, redoing the parking lots.
That's the demo. That was on the other one. Too.
Yeah. Tara, this is why you're the secretary of the council. Okay. Again, the new exterior sign with the St. Clair logo. Again, with the baptismal font. Repainting the interior throughout. That's a double. I saw that double before and I didn't take it out. Okay. Again, modifying the flooring. I would imagine, again, there's probably hardwood flooring there. Modifying the altar, ambo, sanctuary seating again so it blends architecturally. The church is in the English perpendicular Gothic style. That's the style. So on here I have demo and rebuild the sacristy. And after I put that on there and thought about it, I thought, I really don't need to demo the sacristy. So I don't know if that $100,000 needs to be there or not. But so that's kind of a questionable thing. But I do have building a new front entrance, which would include a lift, like we would put in Askeaton. It would include 2 unisex bathrooms, and then also another storage room. That obviously is the biggest ticket item there. It'd be nice to add a bride's room, and maybe even over at Askeaton too, but add a bride's room in the church hall. Refinish the pews, straighten them out so we can get another couple of pews in there, just for at an angle anyways, a better use of space to have them just straight. And then possibly adding a cantor podium at the front church. So anyway, this one was, well, I don't know, 484, probably less than that without demoing the sacristy. 484. So that's the existing. So, and then that would be the upgrade. So, I mean, obviously the biggest thing would be this new entry over here, 812 square feet. Over here with the door and then a lift, and this would be just like a half wall here. And then a door here, or if we didn't want to put the hole in the wall, just take out a window. Relocate the window from here to up here. You could use that as an entry instead. But anyway, have that. And then instead of demoing the sacristy, putting another room in between this and this as an additional sacristy. Now that does mean that these 3 windows are then inside the building instead of on the outside. So we would have to make sure that these other windows over here are clear so that there's enough. I mean, it faces east, so it gets a lot of nice wine sunlight. So we just have to make sure that those are clear to get enough light in there. So let's see, in the back here, where the current entrance is, I think I perhaps maybe demo that and rebuild that, which would eliminate the cost to redo the metal roof there, which was in the inspector's suggestions. Anyway, adding 2 bathrooms here, again unisex bathrooms, and then basically just opening up the front entrance again, because I don't know what else we'll go back here. We'll just have a block right away. And then as far as here's the font again. And then here's, with the idea of not only putting the stairs, making these things at floor level, but also pushing the stairs themselves back a little bit to give us some more room for a couple more pews there. Okay. Any thoughts, questions? So we'd be going from that to that. So that's a more significant upgrade, obviously. And then I figured since this would, be more of a exterior alteration as well, I thought I'd, just kind of whip this up here. So that's the current east side elevation. And then with the addition, it would be like that perhaps. So you have, this would be the other addition to the sacristy. So you'd have clear glass here to allow light to go through to get to the other window. This would also be, I'm guessing, clear. Have some lancet windows here, which is the little skinny windows, which is characteristic of the style. And these are the front steps again, and this is the sign. Okay, so again, maybe going from that to that. And then sanctuary-wise, there's the current, right? Current. Although Jesus has ascended a little higher. He's 2 feet higher than he was before. Okay, and then here's a rendition of an upgrade. The shape of this thing here mimics if you go back to page 10, it kind of mimics this shape here, which is also the shape found on the tower, with those buttresses, that sort of thing. And then this here is the painting that's on the wall here. Could be put there. It's a nice painting. And then as far as the altar, this tabernacle, as far as the altar goes, it seems like in this particular style of architecture, they more often have fancy altar cloths than necessarily, bare altars. So maybe there would be an investment here in altar cloths rather than altar. Does that make sense? If you remember, if you tuned into topic 2, you would maybe see the star image there and what that kind of signifies and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, that would be before. Okay. All right. How are we doing on time? All right. That's the right stuff. Again, modify sanctuary furnishings. That'd be altar, amble, and chairs to blend architecturally. It's always a tricky thing because I'm trying to think here. A lot of things in parishes are donated in memory of somebody. So that's why I put the word modify there, because I think things can be modified while still respecting the fact that somebody gave it. Regular organ upkeep and repair. Again, that's just part of.
What? $30,000 up to clean the organ?
It needs more than cleaning. It needs cleaning and it needs some significant repair. Yeah, it hasn't been tended to. And I can just say from my previous profession as an organist, that's okay. I mean, that figure. Because there are parts of it that need to be rebuilt. It's kind of like the knob and tube wiring. Things break down, so they just need to figure
What would be the cost of a new one as compared to the repair?
To replace the organ here, I'm guessing would be, because it's a decent size, medium sized organ. I'm guessing in the $500,000 range.
Piano would be lovely. Because
Yeah, it's usually less expensive to just take care of the instruments than buy.
the organ and the speaking to replace it is only 20 grand.
That is a, because over there, I guess I was thinking probably just an electronic organ. And even 20,000, I don't like that price, but that's kind of what they go for. So that's the difference. This is,
Harmonica, we're switching to harmonicas.
At least you didn't say good news.
you know, I will say that in regards to that, there are, you know, when churches close, they have to like, you know, liquidate all their stuff. If there are organs, they are oftentimes nicely taken out and kept and then resold, you know. Instruments, if they're well made, are fine if they're old. You know, they don't age quite like we do. So that's another option too. You know.
And they tend to keep their value too, don't they, Father, over the years? I mean, it's nothing like that
It's not like a
depreciates
car.
like a car,
It's not
yeah.
like a car. Let's see, where were we here? Repainting the interior. Again, that's just not necessarily, you know, to majorly change, because it does have a nice classical look to it. But again, you know, if you look around, there's certainly, you know, peeling paint, and you know, just needs a freshening up. Let's see, installing again the image of St. Clair somewhere with the image of St. Paul. Redoing the parking lots.
Okay, the other one says replace and repair the parking lot for 15,000, and this one says redo the parking lot for 45. I like the other one better.
Bigger parking lot. Driving it today?
It could be, Tara, it could be, I'd have to check again. There's so many details. He might have been talking about repairing, whereas this is replacing.
Yeah, the other one says replace and repair. So one or the other can go, so we're gonna.
And the school also has repair and replace the parking
Yeah.
for 20,000.
Smaller parking. Because
Wasn't that the same parking?
no, when
The school is
the school part is the parking is just the area right around the school. So the driveway between the school and the neighbors. Can't think of their name right now.
The pretty house.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the 45 number is most accurate.
Yeah.
Based on the price of the asphalt, you're not going to do much.
Yeah. So. Okay. So we're going to assume 45, okay, Tara? We'll assume high. Again, the exterior sign. The baptismal font, that's a little more interesting because the font here is marble. But I think it could work. I think it could work if we made enough room around it so that you could get a casket around it. But what it makes me think of always is Westminster Abbey, where they have, I think it's the tomb of their version of the unknown soldier in there, I believe, right in the middle of the aisle. So if there's a wedding or whatever, they just have to go around it. Having the baptismal carved out, I don't know if it's even possible, but I'd like to look into it, because right now the font is basically two basins, because I think they used to pour water from one into the other, and the other would go down to the ground. Which makes, I don't know, it's just very interesting trying to baptize, because you're in a very, very tight area. So I guess I'd like to just check with maybe some of the monument companies or something to see if they could even take that and make it one bowl instead of two. Add a bride's room down here, bride's room / meeting room / multi-purpose room, just another room, you know, down here. Cantor podium in the front. Adding another, again, meeting or money counting room down here, primarily because we're not done with this transition yet, but all that stuff that's over there, that environment, liturgical environment stuff, is going to go upstairs, most of it, in the current service sacristy, which is where they count money. So it'd be nice to provide them with a nice place to count money.
Father, don't they count at the bank?
Not here. Oh, wait a second. What do they do here?
My wife does it, and they go to the bank to count.
Okay. Well, they have other meetings in there. Sister Joanne.
Here, I know what they need.
That's right. No, they don't count money there.
They stuff the.
Well, you should know.
Yeah, I should know. They stuff the bulletins up there and all kinds.
They stuff the bulletins up there. That's right. That's what I'm thinking of. Something with paper. But this is more of a subjective thing. In the front entrance here, maybe placing the yellow glass with clear glass, or something that would allow more natural light to come in. Just a thought. Add some more interior lighting, more directional lighting, I guess, to highlight some architecture and highlight things. I know we have like a spotlight on the altar and the ambo, but maybe something to highlight them even more. Refinish the existing cabinetry, repair, rebuild, whatever. Move the pews forward, which I think would help by straightening them. Because when I'm up there, there's such a distance between me and the people. Even if the front pews are filled, there's still this very big distance. And I realize some of that might be because for funerals, you want to get some room up there. So again, that's more of a subjective thing. We don't have to move the pews forward. But.
It's very difficult to do communion if they're any closer, trying to get two.
All four? Yeah.
Yeah, trying to get all four, and then the people also distributing wine, there really is not a lot of space.
Okay. Add air conditioning. And then the last thing here, I just separated off by itself because it really is a subjective thing. Adding a side chapel. Just to have a smaller prayer space somewhere.
It seems like a lot of these things are put in there just to add money, and they're not needed.
Well, I would say some yes. But I would also say some no. How's that? I'll meet you halfway with this.
Okay, so
Like
it's
what?
108.
What would you say is not necessary?
Well, I looked at the picture on page 14, and I don't understand that arc that was over the altar and the new altar.
Oh, you're ahead
The
of me.
first
Okay.
picture looks even better than the second picture that's supposed to be redone.
Okay, well, I'll get there in a second. All right, so page 13. All right, so there's obviously the existing. So there would be some of the things. So there's the font, but I think if we made enough room with the pews, I think it would be okay. I think if you get around it okay. Take a little bit of planning and measurement. But. And then what's the other thing? If we could, I don't know, it depends on if the pews could be moved forward or not. But it'd be nice to add some flexible seating in the back for the elderly so that they don't have to sit in the corners. So add some nice full rows of seating there, nice cushioned seating. But then perhaps even add a couple of spots a little further up too. If somebody, either that or maybe get some pew cushions or something. I don't know. But add a little bit of flexible seating for those. Or like if somebody's in a wheelchair or something, and they don't necessarily want to sit in the back or in the right front, maybe they could take out a chair. Just to have a little bit of flexibility. And then there's the little section. Okay, so on to the pictures. So there's Easter.
He's having with the confessional too, that's not on. First,
The confessional is,
there.
yeah, it's there. I don't know if you, we're in the process of modifying the confessional. Can everybody see what the confessional is? Right? Yeah. So basically, we're adding a door, and both doors will have glass panels in them. And then I'll be on this side, and then the penitent will be on that side. Okay? And that's for safe environment reasons. So. Okay? And I was told that that's supposed to be, that'll be done next week. So. Okay. So there was that, and then there was this. The differences that you'll notice would be the paint. The ceiling is the same, but the walls would be painted to match the rest of the church. Okay, so that would be. So there's that. There's that. The original pictures that we looked at the last for the last topic. This material here, this marble-looking material, was also in the sanctuary as well. Anyway, so that's a difference there. You have, similar to Askeaton, again, this is a Romanesque style with a more neoclassical interior. So there again, modifying the altar so that it could fit architecturally, and then also the anvil. And those are things, they're subjective, because you can say, well, I can worship on any altar. That's true. But there's something about having a cohesiveness that's helpful. I don't know how else to explain it. It just makes it more of a cohesive whole, design-wise. Does that make sense? Or it's Dr. McNamara, who was in the video that we sort of watched last time, called it the poetic sense. That it's not really a functional thing. I mean, I could put a folding table up there and have an altar. It's more of a poetic, aesthetical sense, trying to raise our minds and hearts to something bigger than just, let's go here and get messed up. And this, like I said, it's all subjective. So. The arch thing here, again, is if in the original, get rid of my little pointer thing here. And I'm not necessarily trying to recapture the original. There, okay. So there's the original. So you can see the back wall matched the side walls. And then there was a dark bottom. And then this this baldacchino, again highlights that this is the important area of the church, which of course the arches do anyway. But this further draws the eye there. So that would be the point of this or something like it, would be to draw the eye there. So that's the purpose of it. You know, whether or not it's a good use of money is, you know, that's the subjective part, you know? Okay?
Bob,
Yeah,
in the new upgrade picture of St. Paul's sacristy, what happens with the marble altar that's existing there right now?
the back one, right?
Yeah, the back one, is that torn down?
Oh, no, that's there. That's there and all the marble that's there is there. Yeah.
So that's being moved up forward?
No, this is still in the back. This is a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the marble steps, the black marble steps, the white marble altar, that's all there. It's just,
Now, is that altar that's proposed to be open and not have a, I'm going to say sheet on it, that's the wrong term, but, you know, covering on it? It's an open altar then?
correct,
No drape, cloth, yeah, cloth.
correct, right. Yeah, so nothing would change with that altar, with this thing right here, right? It would be as it is today.
Well, we have a drape altar right now.
Well, the cloth would just go, would not come over the front. It would still go side to side.
This thing right here, this thing right here is one altar, like the current one that we have, you know, that we celebrate Mass on. That's this one. This is the one that's behind.
Okay.
So this, nothing would change with this one. If we don't put claws on it now, it would still be as is. This one, you know, we would change claws or whatever as we do normal.
The tabernacle has changed, correct?
Nope, I'll say the same.
That's the same one?
Yes, this is, how would I say this? This is not the original picture. This is just a bunch of shapes meant to represent the altar. So that is just a box.
More of a cartoon
If that makes
picture,
sense.
per
It's
se.
more of a cartoon picture. Yeah, so nothing that's in the, nothing of the old high altar as it is today would be changed. There's no need to change anything. Okay? All right, page 15. Remember again the context. The context is topics 1 and 2. That is, if you're wondering why, go to topics 1 and 2. My concern is that people would come to this talk and the next talk and not bother with 1 or 2. You need 1 and 2 to understand this in number 4. Okay? All right. Total approximate cost for upgrades. So these are the costs that I already talked about, just in a format like this. Okay. So total upgrades, that would be structural and utilities and liturgical and cosmetic. If we did all that, it would be 1.48 million plus. Okay. I don't know what the plus is, but. Now I do have a little asterisk there that the upgrades to the existing parish center in Greenleaf would most likely not be done, in my opinion. Nobody's decided that, but I would opt to raise the building. So I did not include that $131,000 in this 1.48. And it does not cover this 1.48 million doesn't cover any thing with the school other than those facilities or structural and utilities upgrades. Because I know that at school they'd like to add, like a classroom or something. They'd like to do a couple of things over there if we're gonna upgrade that building. So that's not included in here. So this is just this gets you in the ballpark, okay? It
Does
doesn't-
the $543,000, that's just for structures and handicap accessible, things that need to be done,
That is,
plus
that
maintenance,
is for,
regular maintenance?
this is everything on page 234, everything on that list. So yes, it's, actually, it's not anything handicap accessible, that's all under the other stuff. This is, this is plumbing, electrical, this is, brickwork, this is just the buildings. Yeah, yeah. I kind of struggled with how to name that category, because it's kind of broad, but is that helpful?
It's kind of addressing the property inspection.
Right, it's addressing the property inspection. Okay. Did you want to?
Yeah.